Raiders Jaguars preview show. Let's get into it.
Genty springs free. Turns on the Jets, one guy to beat. Fire can't bring him down. And the rookie.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy D Nice with I2G Radio, back at it with another Las Vegas Raiders podcast. This is also through our YouTube page that we urge everyone to check out. Viva Las Raiders podcast. Just put that in the search bar. Will definitely pop up for everyone that likes to check out our podcast on YouTube, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It is I2G Radio. The letter I, the number 2, the letter G, radio. For all my hip-hop heads as well, I got you covered. You can also check this out on Illuminati2G.com. That's the word Illuminati, the number 2, the letter G.com. So, Week 9, Raiders 2-5, desperate for a win. Much of the fan base wants us to tank. I've done the preview show as far as the record prediction, and I originally had the Raiders at 7-10. I moved that up to 8-9. I moved that up to 9-8. So I've changed my record prediction 3 times already. How things are currently going, it kind of looks like a 7-win, 5 to 7-win team. But good news on the injury front, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Brock Bowers is back. We talked about that on the last podcast. I think he's going to make a huge difference in this offense. Is really going to kind of be the table setter. Michael Mayer can run that, be that number 2, although he was basically running a lot of the routes that Brock Bowers was running. Staying in a little bit more for blocking to help out the offensive line, but he table sets. You're going to be able to have 13 personnel again, and you can still have explosive plays with a player like Brock Bowers there at tight end position. So Jacoby Myers also looks like he's going to be good to go in the game if he is not traded between now and game time. So that's something to monitor as well. And the Raiders just recently picked up wide receiver Tyler Lockett. I say all that to say, as you know, we do the preview show. I'm going to get into it, kind of segue into that. But 3 keys on offense, 3 keys on defense against Jacksonville Jaguars. So, but getting back into this with the offense, you've got Tyler Lockett, and this kind of leads to my first point, keys to victory for the Raiders. And it's the offense. The offense needs to look something like Week 1 against the New England Patriots. And even with that, Geno Smith threw an interception in that game, but he threw a touchdown to a beautiful deep pass to Trey Tucker. Was picking apart the defense as well with Brock Bowers. He had over 100 yards receiving in that game, and you kind of got a glimpse of it. It even got Dante Thornton involved with the deep pass, and pretty much since that game, we have not seen Dante Thornton. You may have remembered 3 or 4 pods ago, I did have the podcast about the youth movement. The youth movement, especially on the offensive side of the ball, for now going into the second half of the season, got to see more of it. Got to see more Jack Besh. If you're not going to trade Jacoby Myers, that's fine. You need to find some way to integrate him into the offense and for him to continue to get the uptick in snaps. Same with Dante Thornton. Is having problems separating at the line of scrimmage, but a lot of that, again, has to tie in with the offensive line. Regardless, it's been hard for him to get open a few times that he has had opportunities, has had a couple drops here and there, but I think moving forward can definitely clean that up. Ashton Genty, got to get him now an integral part of this offense. 20 carries should be the norm, bare minimum that he's getting in this, and he's also a big factor on the offensive side of the ball because if the offensive line can hold up and you've got these weapons that I'm talking about here with Bowers especially being 100%, Ashton Genty should get 20 to 25 carries in this game. And that's also part of the keys of victory. Ball control, time of possession. It's imperative, especially against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have one of the probably top 3 defenses when it comes to defensive takeaways, interceptions, fumble returns, just taking away the football. Raiders need to, curb the interceptions down to a complete and bare minimum. Geno Smith kind of has been regulated to the short passing game to kind of mitigate turnovers because, again, he has 10 interceptions, which leads the NFL currently. And really, to be honest with you, I've never seen a quarterback really have a start to the season the way Geno has had. So it's been rough. I'm really hoping he can turn things around here, and starting with this game against Jacksonville. And I think the offensive line, of course, can hold up. I still want to see Charles Grant, whether it's some jumbo packages or something at guard, to see what you have with him, at the guard position, and even throw in Caleb Rogers at guard, Charles Grant at tackle, especially now with Colton Miller being out for the foreseeable future, if not extended to possibly the end of the year. Stone Forsythe, you've kind of seen he's been okay, serviceable, but you drafted Charles Grant, I think, in the 4th round. Need to see what you've got with the left tackle, and that way, if moving forward going into the draft next year, if you've got to draft a left tackle in the top 3 rounds, then what you need to do with that. If it's a guard in the top 3 rounds, which I think more than likely definitely a guard is going to be within the top 3 to kind of fortify that offensive line, at least in playing the young players, what you have moving forward and what you need to do, whether it's free agency, or if you're not going to go the free agency route, you can go in the draft and get a high draft pick. Or if you need to trade, if at all possible, and you've got a willing trade partner, you can go that route as well. But offensive line definitely has got to hold up. I think that's going to be able to unlock more of the big plays that this offense had more against the Patriots, and what you see less and less and less all the weeks after that, which all coincide with when Brock Bowers was injured in week 1 and his production kind of dipping as he was playing hurt. Now, missed 3 games. Definitely, I think he's the X factor in this game. If Brock Bowers puts up, close to anything over 70 yards and a couple touchdowns, the Raiders are going to be in great shape in this game. And then you can weigh on that time of possession with Ashton Genty. But they've got the weapons now. They've got the young players now. I would like to see second half season moving forward make it work. Perfect example, Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is leading that team everywhere. They didn't miss a beat when CeeDee Lamb was out. You move George Pickens into the X receiver spot, which he definitely is playing great. He's a top 10 wide receiver this year, and looks like he is going to easily surpass 1,000 yards. Might get into the 1,600 range at the rate that he's playing. Now you've got that to complement CeeDee Lamb, and you've got a top 5 rushing offense with Javonte Williams. Like, Dallas is clicking on all cylinders offensively. As always, it's kind of been the defense. Whereas here with the Raiders, it's the exact opposite. And now going into the 3 keys for victory on the defensive side of the ball, it's time for this defense. They kind of had a signature game against Tennessee. They need to have another output like that against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You've got Travis Hunter is playing the majority of his snaps now at wide receiver, possibly play some as well at corner. That defense needs to be aware of where he is at all times. Brian Thomas has kind of had a down sophomore year, balled out against the Raiders last year when they played here in Alliegant. This is the type of game the Raiders defensively give a guy, whether it's a young player or a veteran that's kind of in a slump, kind of has a coming out party whether it's on the road or at home against the Raiders. Games like this, they need to keep the big plays in check, especially with this team. Started the season off, I think it was 4-1. They lost their last 2 games. They're either 5-3 or 4-3, but they're looking to get back into the swing of things. They got Liam Cohen. Has got that offense clicking, and also is could be a short, long list of possible candidates for Coach of the Year, depending on how Jacksonville finishes the season. But Raiders have got to be able to corral and keep, Trevor Lawrence at bay. Max Crosby's been banged up this year. Got to have a stellar game from him. The Three Musketeers, once I say it again. Also have another podcast coming up about Malcolm Kuntz. He needs to step up. Tyree Wilson as well. So again, moving forward, you know what you have going into the draft. Obviously, you want a big-time defensive tackle. Do you get that through free agency, or do you get that through the draft? That's on my checklist, and I will also have a pod about this as well towards the end of the season about draft targets and free agent targets that I would like to see the Raiders go after. Really hurt with the whole Christian Wilkins situation. We talked about that earlier, but Raiders have got to get interior pressure with their front four. That's one of the keys to victory. Linebackers as well, moving up from one level to the next level. Got to be downhill. Got to make sure tackling. That's also one of my keys. You've got to keep missed tackles. Got to clean up the missed tackles. This season has been really, really bad with that. Also, we're back to now where we're not getting those turnovers, and we're getting a lot of passes. They're not securing the football. Fumbles, kind of wonky. Sometimes they go your way, sometimes they don't. Not as many forced fumbles. This defense has got to create at least 2 turnovers in this game if the Raiders want to win. Simple as that. Whether it's the linebackers, defensive tackles, keep pressure on Trevor Lawrence, but keep him in the pocket. Don't allow him to bootleg, get outside, use his legs, pick up multiple first downs. Raiders have got to curb that if they want to have a chance in this game. Secondary as well. Caillou Blue-Kelly is giving up the most yards of any corner, pretty much through the first half of the NFL season. Let's see what you have with Darian Porter. You drafted Darian Porter in the 3rd round, has really had limited snaps, has almost been regulated to special teams. You got to see what you have with this guy. If he's the next Richard Sherman, let him show you through his play and his snaps that, he has the potential to do that. If he's not, but he can be a solid depth piece, with a, 5-6 wide receiver room to where you have a good rotation of players, no matter who's being subbed in, there's not a big drop off in performance, then you've got to give him more snaps. As well, Eric Stokes could possibly be traded, trade deadline. If you think you can get some high value with how good he's playing, maybe a contender might, come off a 3rd or 4th round pick if you're going to decide to go that route. If not, and you feel he can be a centerpiece moving forward to year 2 with this regime, Eric Stokes got to have a big game. And what I mean by that, Eric Stokes needs to come up with the interception in this game. Forced turnover, fumble recovery, something. It's one thing to be a solid corner. It's another thing when you're a cornerback that's also creating turnovers and getting the ball back. That's where a Patrick Surtain or Sauce Gardner at times, although he's had a rough year this year. Jalen Ramsey or Darius Slay. Older corners, but even young up and coming cornerbacks. Stingley with the Titans. You got to have that opportunity to make plays and to help out your team, possibly give your offense a shorter field to work with. This defense has got to be able to create turnovers. So those are the keys to victory that I have on offense and on defense. Again, I'm going to get away from the score predictions. I did have the Raiders winning this game on prediction show at the beginning of the year. But there's a lot of things that the Raiders have to do with purpose and intent, offensively and defensively. Time of possession, run the football, defensively, pressure on Trevor Lawrence in the pocket, keep him in the pocket, still be able to make plays, turnovers from the Three Musketeers, Wilson, Crosby, Kuntz. Those guys have got to get going. Linebackers have got to get out there and make plays. Big games from like Devin White again and Jamal Adams. Secondary, again, I would like to see Eric Stokes come up with a turnover, Isaiah Polamau and Jeremy Chin. Just this defense as a whole, it's got to get 2 takeaways in this football game for the Raiders to have a chance. So it's going to be interesting to see as we get further into the season. Next week, I will have my second quarter, or basically midterm report. Did that for the first 4 games of the season. Now going into the second 4 games of the season. Raiders have a very interesting part of their schedule. Schedule was super tough at the beginning. They kind of had back-to-back games. They split against the Bears, and they split the Bears and the Titans. Was in both games. Could have very easily won both. They did not do that. Now you're getting back to a progressively kind of mid to harder part of the schedule. Got the big Cowboys game coming up here in a couple of weeks. So, Raiders possibly with Patrick Surtain going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks with Denver. That's an interesting game. On the flip side, next Thursday Night Football in Denver. Got to see what the Raiders can pull off here within the next 2 to 3 games to see, can they still keep it and be in the mix? Or these next 3 games, you drop all 3 of these, you definitely are out of the playoff picture. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do moving forward. Again, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I2G Radio. Letter I, number 2, letter G, radio. We are also on YouTube, Viva Las Raiders podcast. Look that up. Pod will come up. We will have our post-game show on Sunday. Also be on the lookout for I2G Radio podcast. That'll either be later this evening or this afternoon or sometime on Saturday. But either way, that'll be coming up. We'll also get a Gumbo Symphony podcast coming up with R&B rhythms as well. But D-Nice, I2G Radio signing off. See if the Raiders can get that dub and get to 3-5 on the season. Alliegant Stadium, Jacksonville Jaguars. Definitely a game to look out for. Peace.